Hi everyone, welcome. Actually, let me switch it to Portuguese. Oi pessoal, bem-vindos. Meu nome é Vitória, eu sou orientadora do EducationUSA na PUC Rio. A gente hoje vai ter uma apresentação com a Lewis and Clark College. Vocês vão poder saber mais sobre Liberal Arts Colleges. Bom, para quem não conhece o EducationUSA, nós somos a fonte oficial sobre estudos nos Estados Unidos. A gente tem vários eventos com universidades como esse aqui. A gente pode ajudar vocês a entrar em universidades americanas. Então, para saber tudo sobre isso, sobre nossos serviços, é o www.educationusa.org.br. E o site do Rio é o mesmo, /PUC-Rio. Bom, now I'm gonna pass it over to Laura.
Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see the PowerPoint. And there we go. My name is Laura Shire, and I am the director of the Academic English Studies program at Lewis and Clark College. Lewis and Clark is in Portland, Oregon. And if anyone's not familiar with Portland, we are north of California, Oregon is, and we are south of Washington. So we're about 3 hours south of Seattle and about 8 hours north of San Francisco. Portland is a sort of medium-sized city. And today I'm here to present to you about liberal arts colleges. So Lewis and Clark is a liberal arts college. Liberal arts colleges tend to be small. Lewis and Clark has about 2,000 undergraduate students. Some can be as small as 500 students and some as large as 5,000 or 10,000. But the focus is on the liberal arts education. And so I will be sharing with you information about what that means. So we can get started here now. Okay, so when you hear liberal arts education, what do you think? Go ahead, if you would like to put your ideas in the chat box, you can do that. Just open up the chat and write down some of your thoughts on what liberal arts education is. And maybe Victoria, you can read some of those out to me.
Of course.
I'm having a hard time getting my browser over to the chat, so
no problem.
Where it is. So I'll let you take care of that. Any thoughts when you hear of liberal arts education? What do you think? Any ideas at all?
I think they're a bit shy.
Okay, that's all right. Anytime you have a question or you want to make a comment about something, feel free to put it in the chat box. You can also just send it to the hosts if you prefer not to share it with everyone. So we'll continue on. So I have here a photo, and if you look at that photo, it says technology, liberal arts. That's sort of a street sign there. Does anyone know who that is in the photo by chance? Steve Jobs, I see. Yes, absolutely. That is Steve Jobs. And fun little fact, Steve Jobs actually went to a small liberal arts college in Portland, Oregon. Unfortunately, it wasn't Lewis and Clark. It's a college called Reed College, but he spent some time studying there before he went on to create Apple and work with computers and technology. So why is it called liberal arts? And I see some ideas that I think I saw here. So it comes to mind when I think about liberal arts education. I think someone said it's free for all to try different kinds of things. All right, so historically, it actually is a Latin word, and I'm sure that in Portuguese, you have a similar word, liberalis, or liberty, meaning, and it actually meant back in the Greek and Roman times, free for men. It was appropriate for free men. A liberal arts education was a course of study considered essential for free citizens of Greece and Rome. And the purpose of this type of an education was to create educated, capable citizens so that they could participate in the governance and the decision-making of their society. And of course, it only had to do with free men. The method of teaching that was often used was the tradition of Socratic questioning. And so many of you might be familiar with Socrates. In Socratic questioning, the Socratic method is using discussions to encourage critical thinking and the shaping of new ideas. So the intention of a liberal arts education is not just to give you information and stand up and lecture you and provide you information you must memorize and learn. The purpose of a liberal arts education is to ask you questions and to engage the student in the discussion with the professors in order to develop your own critical thinking about things, your own ideas, and so that you can become a citizen, essentially, who helps in the governance and in the progression of your society. So today, so here, sorry, I did not advance there for the methods. Okay. So today, liberal arts remains a tradition in US education, especially in small liberal arts colleges, and that's why they have this name. The focus is on developing, as I said, your critical thinking skills, problem-solving skills, advanced communication, curiosity, wanting to know more about lots of different things, and your confidence. It's focused on building your ability to take on any job and contribute knowledge and skills to a shared solution, so that you're not just being trained to do one thing, you're being trained to think and to look at problems from a broader perspective and be able to provide new ideas and new solutions to growing problems. Very important in today's world and in today's businesses. Okay. All right, so liberal arts does not mean you study art. So just to make that clear, that it is not a place where you only study art. You can, you absolutely can. And at Lewis and Clark, for example, you can study art history, music, theater, studio design, photography, any types of form of art. But you can also study things like chemistry, technology, computer science, for example, neuroscience, the health sciences, and you can study about the environment. In fact, most liberal arts colleges will have over 30 majors, and Lewis and Clark has 29 majors that you can choose, and a major is where you concentrate in one particular area, and we're going to get to that a little bit when we talk about more what it is you're studying at a liberal arts college, because you're not only studying your topic, okay? But these are some other types of majors that you can possibly study. Okay, so really when you think about it, liberal arts education includes arts and sciences. All right, and we talk about STEAM in that particular. Many of you are probably familiar with the acronym STEM, focusing on the sciences and technology and engineering and math. STEAM adds in that piece of art. And so liberal arts colleges provide an opportunity for STEAM. Okay, so when we talk about what you study for a liberal arts degree, it's a 4-year degree. It's your pregrado or undergraduate is what we call it. You are studying and you are getting a degree that provides you with kind of a breadth of information on many different topics. And so that breadth is where it's very shallow and long, and it includes many different kinds of topics like sciences, history, literature, arts, society. So you're basically getting a taste or a sample of different types of areas of topics to study. And then it includes a depth of study. This is where you choose what it is you really want to get into and really focus and concentrate on, okay? And we call this your major area of study. So what this results in then, your major area is your Bachelor of Arts or your Bachelor of Science at a liberal arts college. So you can get a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science depending on the liberal arts college. Lewis and Clark offers a Bachelor of Arts in all of these different degrees here, to name a few. As I said, there are 29, and I'm going to give you a chance to kind of look at some of those in a moment as well. Okay. All right. So what do you study in your 4-year bachelor's degree in liberal arts? So I want to give you an example of the requirements at Lewis and Clark College. There are basically 3 categories of the kinds of courses you will take over the 4 years. So at Lewis and Clark, we have 2 semesters per year. And so you're going to do a total of essentially 8 semesters. And in that time, you'll do 32 courses, more or less. So that means each semester you take about 4 courses or 4 classes. All right. Typically, students will start out with the general education courses. This is part of your breadth. General education courses are required courses or required categories of courses, classes that every undergraduate student takes. So you have that in common pretty much with everyone. And sometimes that can take a year or 2. Your first and second year are usually when you tend to focus on your general education courses. And electives. Now, electives are that part where we are challenging your curiosity to try something different. Electives, again, is your exploration and provides even more breadth. So these are classes that will be outside of your major. And often many students will take the general education and the elective classes. So that's about a total of 20 of the 32 classes that you take in many different areas. The purpose of it is to develop your skills in writing and reading, communication, research, and basically provide you with information as a well-rounded person who can look at different subjects and areas and study those. Then you take another third of your classes, or maybe 12 courses in all, in your major. So that's that area where you want to concentrate and get that depth of understanding in a particular topic or area. So it could be in economics, it could be in English, it could be in art history. There's so many different topics. It could be in computer science. Okay. So let's take a look at some of the typical general education courses that you'll find at a liberal arts college. And again, we'll kind of use Lewis and Clark as an example, very similar to many colleges depending on their focus. Lewis and Clark has a focus on international, global citizenry, and the environment, and social justice, essentially. So a lot of the general education courses will focus around exploring those themes and topics, okay? But essentially, these classes provide you with a lot of information and reading, things to help you with your critical thinking about different ideas, develop your writing and your research capability. And so these are all skills that you will use in your advanced classes, but you're doing it through a lot of different types of coursework. So at Lewis and Clark, first year seminar courses, those are small writing, reading courses that you take and explore a particular topic with a small group of students. Some first year seminar courses also might include a mathematics. Here at Lewis and Clark, we have one in numbers, and it's really about being able to interpret data and to critically think about information that you get in a numerical type of situation. We also have a requirement for world languages. So for example, you already have Portuguese, so you're lucky you have your world language, and then you have English, which is your second world language. And so you've met that requirement already. Global and historical perspectives is another area, and we'll look at some of the courses you can take in that. Creative arts, again, photography, maybe sculpture, maybe ceramics, or music courses. Or theater, you can do a lot of different things. Natural sciences include some kind of a laboratory class. So one requirement, usually it's one requirement in that area. And then physical education, we believe in, you know, mind, body, soul. And so many liberal arts colleges will require that you take a physical education class. Okay, so what I'd like to do, you can choose these courses from many different disciplines or majors or topics. So let me just click here, and hopefully we'll come up with the Lewis and Clark page of general education. And we can just kind of take a look here at this box. I hope everyone can see it okay. Victoria, is that pretty clear? Yes? No? Okay. Okay, so
yes, we can see it.
You can see it. Thank you so much, David. So here, you know, you have a general education in bibliographic research and writing. And so you might take a course, you could take that in ecology or music and social justice, Indian philosophy, medieval Christianity. So you can see there are a lot of different courses out there in the liberal arts college with very narrow topics, but they meet the requirements of these general education classes. Creative arts, we talked about a little bit, photography, stage makeup also is part of that. The art of the novel. Culture, power, and identity, focus on that social justice piece of it. And so there are different things that you can take, different types of courses you can take in that as well. Global perspectives, again, international relations, contemporary Asian studies, Latin America and Spain, enlightenment to the present. So there's so many classes, and they can focus, you know, with historical perspectives, so or global perspective, those often cross over with each other. Here with historical, Greek myth and religion, for example. Natural sciences, you could take a climate science or the physics of music or cognitive neuroscience. So there are a lot of different opportunities, a lot of things to explore. And this is what's really great about a liberal arts college education, is that you really get a lot of time. If we looked at the types of classes you have to take in the general education here and the electives, you have lots of opportunity to try things and take classes that are of interest to you. Maybe you don't want to major in it, but it's of interest to you. Okay, so let me see if I can get back to our slideshow here. Okay, so then the electives. So as I said, these are courses you choose outside of your major. Again, it's more for that breadth and exploration of different ideas, different subjects. What is interesting for many students is that they often discover that their main interest is through these elective choices. And I wanted to give a student, we have a student, Junan, who graduated with us in 2017, and he ended up getting, ironically, a BA in art, okay? And so here's his quote when I interviewed him a couple of years ago after he graduated. Lewis and Clark gave me the chance to discover my passion. Liberal arts education allows you to try things you might not have thought about. I started with an interest in psychology. By taking other courses outside psychology, I discovered that I love art and photography. I learned to think, be creative, and communicate through art. I couldn't have asked for a more perfect example of what a student can learn at a liberal arts college. And what I really enjoy about this is that while Junan first came with the idea of psychology, he found his passion in art, and he had very supportive parents who allowed him to pursue that degree in art. And once he graduated, he actually stayed in the United States, and he applied for a residency art program where he got to go for I think 3 months to an Eastern artist colony and work on his, I think at that time it was actually sculpture that he was working on. Okay, by your second year, colleges require you to declare a major, right? And that's your concentration, your depth. So in this situation, maybe you've already taken some courses in your major because you're really excited about it and you want to see what it looks like. That's very common. You may have discovered your major through some electives you took in those first 2 years, as Junan did. And one thing to really note is that some students change their majors. So they might come to school saying, I'm going to be a computer science major, or I'm going to be a psychology major. And once they have taken a couple of years, they realize, no, I'm interested in something else. I actually want to do chemistry. Okay, so a lot of students will change their major and maybe even add a minor, which is just a small concentration. Okay, so you always have to have a major. That's what your BA or your Bachelor of Science is noted as. But sometimes students will be so interested in a second area that they will take either a second major or they'll take a minor, which is just a concentration. Okay, I want to just stop for a minute and see if we have, I think we do, we have Emily here. We have a graduate from Lewis and Clark College. She graduated in 2016 in English, and Emily is from Brazil. And so, Emily, I'm going to ask you, welcome, and I'll just, I think what I'll do is I'll stop sharing my screen for a moment so they can see you. And why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit in Portuguese is appropriate, please. Tell us a little bit about, you know, how you came to decide on like Lewis and Clark or liberal arts education, what you studied, and how it's helped you in terms of what you're doing right now with your graduate work and future.
Hi, Laura. Thank you so much for having me here. Boa tarde, todo mundo. Eu acabei de dar aula em inglês e agora estou trocando para o português, então perdoem qualquer momento de ambiguidade linguística. Mas eu escolhi o modelo da liberal arts porque, para mim, realmente eu achava que programas acadêmicos profissionalizantes não eram para mim. Profissionalizante no sentido de que você estuda matérias específicas para o seu futuro no mercado de trabalho e você não estuda fora desse parâmetro, dessa divisão da sua área de estudo. E eu estava mais interessada em tópicos interdisciplinares e eu acho que Lewis and Clark me ajudou muito a encontrar exatamente onde é que essa interdisciplinaridade se encaixa. Se vocês têm alguma pergunta, eu estou feliz de responder. Eu não sei muito bem quais são as dúvidas que podem estar na sua cabeça agora.
So, Emily, maybe we can take some questions. Not sure if people would like to put something in the chat, or feel free to ask your question in Portuguese. We can unmute you. Want to raise your hand? Emily, since I did not, unfortunately, I don't speak Portuguese. What are you working on now in your graduate school?
I am studying rhetoric. I'm in a master's program in communication at the University of Illinois. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
And I'm looking at critical Black theory, political communication, and yeah, rhetoric.
Awesome. Okay. Were there any courses at Lewis and Clark that intrigued you to choose that as your major, or any part of your experience that contributed to that?
I think, yeah, overall, I think just the whole picture, just the ability to take courses in different departments allow me to pursue interest in different areas and kind of figure out where my interest fit in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you take any? Yeah, go ahead.
And also, I had the great opportunity to do a study abroad program, and I went to the University of Glasgow, and there was a course specifically that I felt complemented the offerings at the time, and it was radical theory, that was really, really interesting and really made me realize that I wanted to pursue graduate studies. Yeah. And my professors were very supportive once I had more of an idea of what I wanted to do.
Okay, and someone in the chat has asked the question about what professional opportunities did you find, and maybe professional, maybe their internships or working on campus with any of your professors in particular.
Yeah, so when I was at Lewis and Clark, first I was a student worker, which means that I worked on campus. If you are a passport holder for the US, that's a very different experience. If you are on an F1 visa, you can only legally work on campus during your undergraduate studies. But you can take internships through something called curricular practical training, CPT, and those can be outside of campus. So I worked on campus in the library, which was amazing. I started out working for the cataloging department of the library. Then I started working for circulation, and finally with special collections, which is more specific archival research for like older texts and just materials that are relevant for exhibition or that focus on a particular artist. So that was a great experience for me. And I had an internship in the city of Portland with a Latino theater called Milagro Theater. And after graduation, I was actually able to take a full-time job with them for a year. Because again, when you are with an F1 visa, you do have the opportunity to do optional practical training, which is an employment permit, OPT. And I worked in an organization that I had interned at while I was at LC. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions that anyone has for Emily? Okay, well, Emily, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you are actually working and holding office hours. I assume you are a TA in your program then?
Yes, I am. I have to start right about now. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so it looks like, yeah, it looks like we're down to just a few participants. And so what I wanted to be able to do was share with you some of the majors at Lewis and Clark, which are going to be similar to the kinds of majors that you might find at other liberal arts colleges as well. And I'm going to put in the chat the web address for these majors so that you can open it up yourself. And since we just have a few people here, I thought you might take a moment and just look through some of these majors here, and you can click on ones that look interesting. So find some that might look interesting to you, or some that perhaps your parents maybe are thinking, I don't think that's something I want you to study, but you're curious about it. So go ahead and I'm just going to give you a couple of minutes on your own to explore those, and maybe if you'd like to share some of them that look interesting to you in the chat, that would be great. So we'll take 2 minutes. So David, Marceli, Anna, any of those that look interesting to you? Someone wrote, Rhetoric and Media Studies is a course I've never seen before. Yes, you know, up until I don't know how many years ago, you'd often find a course called or a major called communications. And Rhetoric and Media Studies is encompassing that idea of communications, but rhetoric is like the study of how people speak and how people express ideas, and so it's an analysis of speech. So for example, one course, introduction course in rhetoric and media will often look at political speeches and an analysis of the types of arguments that politicians make when they give a political speech. So they might look at a presidential debate, which we just had one. I think they found that very challenging. Let's see, international affairs, yes. And French studies, okay. You absolutely can major in French studies and international affairs. And then I think maybe, was it the rhetoric and media includes things like cinema and feminism. Yeah, it's very comprehensive. That's an absolutely great way of looking at it. Okay. All right, well, thanks for taking a look at those. Let's kind of move on a little bit. I just have a few more slides here. So liberal arts college experience at Lewis and Clark, we talked about majors and minors that people can take. I also want to kind of highlight one really important opportunity at Lewis and Clark in terms of a liberal arts education, because it is really focused on the sciences and the arts and the humanities in different ways. But we also have a minor in entrepreneurship, which we know that students are often thinking, well, if I need a job, I need to study business. That's not true, number one. You can do that in other ways, but we provide this opportunity for people to be innovative, create ideas, maybe start their own businesses, how to do that, make connections with people out in the business world, in companies, so that they can understand how their particular area of study translates into being, working in that particular kind of a business. I see so many different liberal arts graduates go into areas of business that I would never have thought of. And a good example of that is rhetoric and media. You do find people going into marketing. People are, businesses are looking for people who are really good communicators and really good thinkers. And that's what you get out of a liberal arts education. They can train you to do anything else. So I'd like to share with you some more student examples. And these students are part of the entrepreneurship minor. They've just taken courses in the entrepreneurship, but they're also a major in something else. So it kind of gives you a sense of how they incorporated these two ideas in their liberal arts education. All right, so here we go, 2-minute video here.
My name is Ryan and I'm an econ major. I have 2 minors, computer science and biology. Being an entrepreneur is like being an artist. Both start with a rough idea. You have to shape it into a working plan and make it into a reality. In terms of art.
Sorry, I wanted to turn this up.
Minors, computer science and art. Being an entrepreneur is like being an artist. Both start with a rough idea. You have to shape it into a working plan and make it into a reality. In terms of art, I paint a bunch. I use like crayons, chalk, pastels, acrylic. I'm into like the digital arts. I will do 3D animation, Photoshop work.
My name is Scott and I'm an international affairs major. I was fortunate enough to intern at PropellerNet. There, I was able to learn a lot about the digital field, which has greatly helped with my current venture that myself and 2 other classmates started as a part of LC's Incubator and Launch Seed Fund. The Seed Fund is an LC initiative that has helped over a dozen student teams attempt to launch their own companies. In addition to meeting mentors from off campus, LC brings important entrepreneurs to campus.
I'm Miles Cravel. I'm a computer science major here at Lewis and Clark College. I think as a computer science major, what I bring to the table is the ability to take some website idea and bring it to life.
My name is Howie and I'm an econ major at LC. In our entrepreneurship courses, we learned that much like a scientific method, there is also an entrepreneurial method. And that having an entrepreneurial mindset is not something that you have to be born with. It is something that can be taught and learned. Obtaining an entrepreneurial mindset gives every student a bigger way of not only seeing the world, but figuring out how to be a part of it.
To me, entrepreneurship is about finding similar-minded people and creating things.
The Center for Entrepreneurship has been a hub for students from all 3 Lewis and Clark colleges, as well as various professors, alumni, and local industry leaders.
Entrepreneurship at LC provides students with the opportunity to develop a group of mentors who are alumni and friends of the college. It allows virtual coffee meetings and phone calls that help with career development and expanding your own network.
The Center for Entrepreneurship provides students with a foundation to create freely without having to take the risks that they might have to without the center's support.
Entrepreneurship at LC is not its own thing. It's a way of being part of everything. Come be a part of it.
Okay. I just want to, on a personal note, I actually have a son who is a junior here at Lewis and Clark, and he is really, really good at math, but he's also been very interested in photography for years and has taken many courses in photography. So he's taken different classes here, and he's decided to be an art major, and he's found more of a passion in sculpture. But I encouraged him to take the course at the Center for Entrepreneurship, and what I really like about it is that there are professors from all the different disciplines who teach courses there, and there is a course on how to promote yourself as an artist, and how, because that's basically it, right? When you go out in the world, if you're really truly passionate about your art and creating art, you also need to know how to get it in front of audiences and somehow possibly be able to make a living out of it. So that's important. So getting back to the idea of how a liberal arts education helps you prepare for your future. The reality is that most people will have 5 to 12 different jobs in their lifetime. And it might not be 5 different companies or 12 different companies, but even within a company. In a liberal arts education, again, it allows you to be somebody who you're going to a company and you're telling them, hey, I have a liberal arts education, I can think, I can write, I can communicate well orally. And so it prepares you for being a person who they can take in and train for jobs. It also puts you in a position as a lifelong learner so that you can continue to learn and be promoted within a company or advance in different types of jobs. It also prepares you for graduate school. So for example, you have our example of Emily, who has her English degree, and now she is doing a master's in rhetoric and communication. And so, she's got a degree that has helped her in terms of her communication styles, and she's moving on to study more about media. People who are interested in getting a master's in business, many of them do not do their undergraduate in a business school, they do it at a liberal arts college. Law is also one. People with degrees in English, history, international affairs will go on to do their graduate work in law, which is different than many countries in South America, and I think in Brazil as well, because law is something you study as an undergraduate. But in the United States, you get your Bachelor of Arts or Science, and then you apply to a graduate program in law. Same with medicine. Medicine is an advanced degree, as are many engineering schools. And at Lewis and Clark, we do have collaboration with some of the elite private schools in the United States that allow our students to take a 3-year undergraduate in physics or computer science or chemistry and transfer to another school and get another Bachelor of Science in engineering in those types of fields. So liberal arts prepares you for the future. It makes you employable because, again, as I have said, writing and speaking effectively, you have a knowledge of language. I mean, world languages, the English language itself, how to communicate ideas and be persuasive, critical thinking, problem solving, basic numeracy, because you will have had to take some kind of mathematics or statistics or being able to interpret information. Same with information literacy. There's so much information coming at you all the time from everywhere. With your critical thinking, you're able to discern and to decide what's good information and what's bad information, what's fake news and what's accurate. And again, this ability to continue to learn for life. So it's really a love of learning that you leave with, and the ability to explore and take on any kind of subject. So just to give you a little sense of the difference between like a university and a small liberal arts college, larger universities tend to focus on research. They're called research universities. And that is typically done at the graduate level. So it means that they have masters and doctorates. Many liberal arts colleges don't have masters and doctorates. They focus on the undergraduate experience. Larger universities have larger schools of study. So you might have a school of business or a school of engineering, or you'll have an arts and science school as well. In those sorts of situations too, the classes are bigger. It's more as your first 2 years, 3 years, maybe more large lecture hall classes. At a smaller liberal arts college, it's maintaining the tradition of this liberal arts education and the Socratic method of thinking and discussing with your professors. It focuses on your whole student experience because it's a small campus or fewer students. You're really engaged not only with your classmates and the people you live with on campus, but with your professors and with other mentors on campus who can help you in the Career Center or in advising. There's a real focus on teaching excellence because the professors are not focusing only on research or having to do research. It's about being in the classroom with you. So you're not having graduate students as your teachers, you're having professors, full professors as your teachers. And that means you can make connections with them. They act as your mentor inside and outside of class. And there are many opportunities that you get by making those lifelong connections with your professors and with other staff and administration on campus, supporting you through your 4-year degree. Okay. You can also, because there aren't graduate students, you can gain research experience. So you heard a little bit about some of the internships that Emily had done. We also have internships on campus in some of our science labs, or some of our professors will have labs that are actually overseas, and students get paid to help conduct that research, often in the summer and sometimes during the year as well. Okay, I do have another short video I'm happy to show from the art department that sort of talks about these double major types of things and gives a little bit of flavor of the art department. But before I do that, I wonder if you have any questions, and I'm happy to take them in the chat, or if you just want to unmute yourself and ask, that's great too. Can I take anyone's questions?
Laura, it's David again. Is that very common from the liberal arts students to go abroad, to have this exchange abroad, a semester or a year overseas?
Sure. Honestly, at other small liberal arts colleges, it may not be as common. Lewis and Clark started in the very early 70s with study abroad, and they were faculty led. And so 60% of undergraduate students at Lewis and Clark will do a study abroad. It fits into their 4-year degree, so they will get credits for it. So for example, you could take, if you're a biology major, you could go with one of the biology professors to Australia. They do that, I think, every other year. It's focused on biology. And so you're earning your biology credits as a major in that program while you're in Australia. Or you can just go on a language program. We have a 1 semester and a year-long language programs in Germany. We have over 30 different study abroad programs, and many of those are led by faculty. So a lot of times students who are in a particular major will go with that professor and earn their credits that way. Or you can just go and earn it as your general education credits in your language, or you can earn it as electives. So I think Lewis and Clark is unique in the number of students who have a study abroad experience. We also have just an off-campus experience. We have a program in New York City as well. Other colleges, honestly, I think they average much more around about 15 to 20% of students do that experience. They're available on all campuses. So you have the opportunity to choose them no matter what kind of a campus you go to, but it's really well supported here in terms of allowing faculty to be part of that study abroad. And that it kind of focuses then on the community again of Lewis and Clark. So good question.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Marceli, did you have a question? No? Anna? We have a quiet group. I don't know how well we'll do with the quiz. So let me, we have a few more minutes, so I'd love to just show you one more clip of some of the student experiences at a liberal arts college, particularly Lewis and Clark. So this is 2 minutes.
My name is Mimi Hovala. I am an art English double major and I am a sophomore. A big part of Lewis and Clark's art department is that, you know, it is interdisciplinary. It does feel like you are learning sort of a holistic approach to art. So I value that a lot. And I think that that definitely changes the way that I see myself in the world as an artist, myself in the world as a student, and just the world around me.
I declared the second half of my sophomore year, and it definitely changed the way I thought about my experience here.
It's a pretty small department, but it's full of like incredible artists, so it's really nice in that sense.
The professors are just fantastic. It's like an intimate department in a lot of ways. Each material group has just one professor that works very closely with all the students who work in that material, and therefore I've formed really important mentor relationships.
What I like about them is that they're all also artists, and so, you know, you can like Google them and then like see their work, and that's really cool to sort of get instruction from people who are there.
It's been important as a way for me to learn how to sort of analyze things.
The art department has helped me with the rest of my academics because you have to learn to slow down and by necessity pay attention to detail and think through the process of the thing before you actually like jump in. You know, there are tons of art schools and there are tons of art majors, but I chose this one and I still feel like that's special. If somebody feels that art is important enough and an important aspect of their identity, the art major is a great program, and there's a lot of support from your fellow students. There's a ton of support from the staff. It's kind of a we're all in this together sort of thing.
Okay. Again, I had a little quiz for you. So if you notice there, many of those students had a double major. You saw art and philosophy, I think art and economics, art and languages, art and English. Okay, so my question's for you. It's kind of a quiz. And since you're being kind of quiet, I'm not going to wait here for you to answer unless you want to shout something out. So what do you study at a liberal arts college? Everything. You get the opportunity to study everything. And then you get the opportunity to focus on one concentration or depth of your choice from over 30 majors. I think you probably know some of those majors. We've already talked quite a bit about a few of those, so hopefully you can name 3 of them. What percentage of your classes are for your major? Basically, out of the 32 courses you need to take, about 12 of those will be for your major, so about 33%. And when do you declare your major? So I think this is what's really different than a lot of countries in their university system. You don't declare your major until your 2nd year of study. And even after you've declared it, you may even change it again. Lewis and Clark really works very hard with students, with the professors and the advisors, to make sure that you finish your degree in 4 years, because we know this is an expensive proposition. Many students want to move forward and get on. 4 years can be a lot of time. It's also a great time to just relax and explore and not worry about having to have a job during those times, hopefully, or just a job that doesn't take a lot of your mind, or you can do opportunities with different kinds of internships. Okay. And additional benefits, hopefully you're recognizing that you develop your critical thinking and your ability to communicate ideas clearly, and that you become more employable and flexible as someone out there looking for a career. Okay. I want to thank you so much for taking your time and spending it with me today. If you have any questions at all, feel free to send me an email, or if you want to set up a time to talk with me independently, that is great. I encourage you to go to the website, golclark.edu, or just look up Lewis and Clark College, Portland, Oregon. Look for this symbol here and explore what some other students say about a liberal arts education and what you can learn about some of those different majors. Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you, Victoria and David, for attending as well, and thank you, Anna, for staying through the whole presentation. And if you have any questions now, I'm happy to take them.
Anna has asked a question. She says, I would like to know if I can put on my CV that I have some experience with some elective subject, or can I only put my major's experience?
You can, whenever you're doing a CV or resume, when you're applying for a specific job, you want to tailor your resume to that job. And so if some of the electives that you have taken are relevant to that particular job. So let's say, for example, you are a philosophy major, but you're starting out and you find that there's some jobs in marketing, social media. You would put in there that you took a rhetoric and media class, or we do have a course in social media. And so you could put that on your resume or in your cover letter as you write, saying, I have experience, I've taken this course, it's very interesting to me to look at social media and how that works. And so, yeah, it's perfectly fine to highlight that. You want to highlight it only when it's relevant to the job you're looking at. You're welcome.
So I'm also going to thank you, Laura, for the webinar. So I'm recording it. It will be available on our YouTube channel. We also have a video library on our website. So hopefully many people will be able to see it in the near future.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to host this. And I enjoyed being able to share a little bit about liberal arts education and Lewis and Clark with you.
Great.
All right, and again, I am the director of the Academic English Studies program. We are part of the Lewis and Clark. If you need support with your English or your academic English as you become a student here, we often have international students whose language is not English, but they're very proficient in English, take a course with us in our program with sympathetic English language teachers. And we help you sort of make that transition into the academic expectations of writing and research and communication in small classes. The great thing about it is that our classes count for credit. So it goes towards your electives in your four-year degree. So students who take our classes, very often 80% of them finish within the 4 years that they are working on their degree. So just want to put that in there in terms of how I fit into Lewis and Clark and how our program does. All right, thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye, Laura.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.